Hello and welcome back to Wellness with Delaney. Today, I have a really special guest who I actually got to go on her show previously, and now she's on mine. I'm so excited to get into this topic. This is Elin. She is a Hashimoto's reset coach. She is an expert in all things thyroid health. Hashimoto's has a lot to say about autoimmunity. I know a lot of people are starting to notice autoimmune symptoms in their own lives, whether or not they're diagnosed. And so today's a really important episode for you to be able to really identify certain symptoms, get to the bottom of your health, and hopefully leave with a path forward and some ideas and inspiration for how you can up-level your health today holistically. Elin, thank you so much for joining.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
I'm so glad you're here today. So I know a lot of people who have like a passion to practice the way you do tend to have some sort of big story or like history that led them to this passion, right? Because people don't really like they're not born passionate about the thyroid, typically
Yeah.
speaking. And so I would love to hear a little bit about your background and how you ended up in this space.
Yeah, and so growing up, I had a mother who was super sick. And like most days, she could barely get out of bed. She was incredibly overweight. She was like 100 kilos. I don't know what that is in pounds, or what do you use? IBS? No, what's it
Yeah,
called?
pounds. So it'd be like a little over 200,
Yeah.
right? Because I think a kilo is like a little less
Yeah,
than half.
maybe. Like she was huge.
Yeah.
But she was chronically fatigued. She had hard time to, like, she could never play with me or my siblings and stuff like that. And it was just very hard to see that growing up, just so much sickness and hopelessness, and her not being able to really take part of a lot of the family activities and things like that. And so it was for me very confusing and very sad. And I didn't feel like I had a lot of answers to that other than she's not feeling well. It was basically that, but I didn't understand, okay, but why is she not feeling well? And so that was that. But then also, like my family history, both my grandmother and my great grandmother had troubles with their thyroids. And they had pretty similar fates like my mother had. And this was my whole childhood with my mother. And for my mother, it was the same with her mother. And my grandmother's mother actually even died from this.
Wow.
Yeah. And so it was just a lot of sadness and sorrow and hopelessness, and nobody had answers. And my father was also very confused because she went a lot to the doctor, and they was like, yeah, but you have your meds, like if you need more then we can up your meds, but that was all they had to offer her. And so if we go like fast forward a couple of years, when I was 23, I'm 26 right now,
Okay.
but when I was 23, I started having issues with my thyroid. And having seen that, I was like, oh, I don't want this to be my future. I don't want this to be my family's future. I don't want this for in my life. I don't want this for the people around me in my life, because something I think a lot of people miss is that it affects everyone. It's not just you and your mama, or like it affects the whole family. It affects all your friends. It affects everyone in your life, right? Because you are the main character in your life. And so when you are not feeling well, everyone around you can feel that too. And so I was like, because I knew what they were going to offer me. Obviously, still I tried going to 3 different doctors, everyone saying the same thing. And I felt this hopelessness once again. And I was like, okay, but how many generations in my family is gonna have to go through this before they come up with something that actually works?
Mm-hmm.
So that was when I was like, no, I'm taking this into my own hands, and that is what kind of started up this journey for me. Really trying to figure out myself, because no one would, like, the answers didn't come easy. It was a lot of trial and error, and a lot of searching. Oh my God. It's not easy. And especially when you don't know what to search for. Like, if you grew up in a society where everybody turns to the conventional medical system, then that's basically the answer, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't for me, and it wasn't for my family. And my great grandmother who died from this, like, it didn't help, obviously.
Yeah.
um but yeah, and so I asked my doctors, what can I do about this? And they said, well, the only thing you can do is go on this treatment where you get medication for your whole life. But I did some other stuff because I looked it up myself. And 1 year later, my results went from a 4 in TSH down to a 2, which is very good. It's within the normal ranges. And so obviously they were wrong. And that was when I was like, okay, people need to know about this. And so
Mm-hmm.
I started my Instagram. I started talking about this on YouTube, and just spreading the word, spreading the awareness, and giving hope to people. Like, life is tough enough already. We don't have to suffer in vain.
Mm-hmm.
We shouldn't have to, at least. Although we do a lot of the times. But it's so unnecessary. There are so many good answers, and there are so many things you can do. So if you're watching this right now, just know that. And we're hopefully gonna break down some things in this podcast that will help you and your family.
Absolutely. I love this. And I love this because I feel like the people who have the strongest passion for something tend to have walked through it themselves. And I think that speaks so much louder than somebody that just read the literature on a disease, right? Like, you have a lot of doctors
Mm-hmm.
who've never actually gone through a thyroid disease themselves. They just read the literature, and the literature told them, give them the Synthroid, give them the levoxythyroid. Like, they don't actually understand the experience of walking through it. So I kind of want to,
Mm-hmm.
like, I want to see, for you at least, what were some of the symptoms that led you to figure out that your thyroid was starting to go down the same path as the women before you?
Yeah, it's a good question. Uh, for me, it was not hard to figure it out, since we had it in our whole family history.
Mm-hmm.
And it's more than just my mother, my grandmother, my great grandmother. It's also every woman on my mother's side of the family. And so my mom was actually the first one to point it out, because she knew, like, all the symptoms, you know,
Yeah.
her whole life. So yeah, so she told me, like, because I was explaining to her, like, I was freezing a lot in hands and feet. And even though I had, like, a blanket on in summertime, like, who does that? Like,
Mm-hmm.
wearing jackets when it's like 20 degrees outside. And so that was one of the things. The other thing was, it got so extreme with the fatigue. I was so fatigued that I slept, like, directly after work. I went to sleep, basically, or I chilled in bed, and then I fell asleep. And then I woke up when work was starting, and so I didn't have a life.
Mm-hmm.
It was basically just working all the time, and that's no fun.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a life. I could only, like, live a little on the weekends. And so it was like, it didn't work out. Obviously, no one can live like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that those are some of the really common symptoms we see. I know when we talked before, like, when I was going through my thyroid journey, fatigue was a huge one. I mean, it's like bone tired. But there are a lot of weird,
Mm.
sneaky symptoms, right? That I think people maybe don't even look to get a diagnosis or look to get their thyroid numbers run. And so I'm
Yes.
curious, like, what are some of the things that you're seeing with clients or people just in your social media community, like some of the surprising symptoms people are experiencing that might actually be an indicator of hypo or hyperthyroid or even Hashimoto's?
Yeah, there are so many symptoms. It could be thinning of the hair,
Mm,
and it's also confusing because it can be other things as well. You know, it's also related to stress, and so a lot of these symptoms you have to like kind of puzzle them together. But since thyroid issues are so common nowadays, I think doctors have become better to spot them as well. But that's one of the things. Brittle nails, also, well, obviously weight gain is a big one, and the not so common ones, yeah, if you get like the sores here, you
mm,
know, where you get like pretty dry and so it cracks here
yeah,
in the ends of the mouth, things
yeah.
like that, things like that. And also, yeah, you can become very pale, so
Mm-hmm.
pale looking, very, very white. If you have like porcelain skin and you're not like, and you used to be able to tan, that could also be like a sign. But there are many signs. Migraines can be a sign. There are so many different
Yeah,
symptoms.
yeah, that's so I think I've experienced like probably all of those at some
Yeah.
point. And I think the crazy thing is like speaking of nails, I for my
Mm,
entire life had really ridged, peely nails. And they
yes.
were like always breaking, always jagged. Like I
Mm,
by the time I was a teenager on, always had to get my nails done like gel or dip because they would break every single day. And then
mm-hmm.
actually, so I was like really scared to get my dip removed, but that was one of the few toxic things I was like really holding on to because I was like, my nails just break. Even if they're short, they just break and it's awful and embarrassing. And then a little while ago, I decided to get it removed, see what happened. And my nails are so strong and long and healthy.
Yes.
And like, I never knew that was possible because literally from childhood on, my nails would peel, like the layers would peel back all the time. It's pretty crazy. Like, when you can actually get your thyroid healthy, you're like, wait, I'm actually so much hotter because your hair is
Yeah.
healthy, your skin, your nails, like all these things that are like
Yes.
actually indicators of health that you like maybe are your beauty goals start to
Yes.
manifest. I want to kind of tap into the weight gain because I
Yeah.
see so many women who like when they're struggling with weight loss, it's like, okay, I'm going to go on a really restrictive diet, right? I'm going to cut out all these food groups. I'm going to eat 1,200 calories a day, work out harder every day, da 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 da. And we
Mm,
have this mentality, right, of like calories in, calories out. But then there's this other side of like hormones, right? Like the hormones in, hormones out when it comes to weight. Can you touch a
mm.
bit on like maybe some of the myths around calories in and out when it comes to hormonal weight gain and thyroid related weight gain?
Yeah, for sure. This is a very important topic because, you know, the thyroid issues, it's hormone related for sure. And
Mm-hmm.
so what happens when you go down with the calories is you stress your body out so much. And I know women that I've talked to that that's in my community that has described like they went down to like 800, and so, and yeah, so
Wow.
it's, and of course, like even if you eat then whatever a salad, you will still gain. And but yeah, they try to solve it through what the society has told them weight gain is supposed to be like. But a good rule of thumb that I always tell people is don't count your calories, count your nutrients.
Mm-hmm.
And the funny thing is, when you eat more like whole foods, you don't even need to count the calories if you're not like going crazy on the carbs. But I don't recommend counting calories at all. I say add in the healthy fats, eat your protein that like that's suitable for you and your lifestyle, and you you will see changes coming, because that way you will balance your hormones, and you need that from good fat sources. But that's also so crazy because they say to us that you need seed oils, you need vegetable oils, and
Mm-hmm.
no, you don't. What you really need is the animal fats to get your hormones back on track.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are a lot of things with the nutritional science that is just out of whack. Like it's literally killing people. And so actually when my mother recovered from a lot of her issues was when she met a doctor within the conventional medical system that only told her to change her diet to more like LCHF, and she got rid of a lot of her symptoms and also other autoimmune problems because she has about 5 autoimmune diseases. And so just changing that made the world's biggest difference. And so, yeah, 100% start with diets and eat your calories because your body needs it to thrive, to keep you healthy and happy. And it's also a huge reason to why probably a lot of women feel fatigued with Hashimoto's because they don't eat enough of food, and
Mm-hmm.
they don't eat like red meat because they're so scared because they say, oh, red meat will give you cancer. It's supposedly unhealthy, while it's the opposite. It's actually the most healthy thing they can eat, and they need the iron in it also to get those levels in check. And so
Yeah.
the advice are pretty messed up nowadays. The guidelines is just not good if you have hormonal issues like Hashimoto's.
Yeah.
And when it comes to exercise, it's the same thing. Like if you're overweight, you should overtrain instead. And that is also so wrong, especially for women in general, not only women with thyroid issues, but also just women in general, because we have more hormones than men, for example. And so they have a pretty straight line with testosterone shooting out throughout the month. And I think it shoots out testosterone in their blood every 15 minutes or something like that. But it's stable. It doesn't change dramatically unless they eat maybe things like soy and things like that
Mm.
that can mess up, giving them excess estrogen. And yeah, you know.
Yeah.
But for women, and especially women with Hashimoto's, we need to balance those hormones. And so it's so important that we keep track of our cycle and exercise depending on where we are at that in the cycle. So if we're in the luteal phase, it's detrimental if we would go and run and doing hard like lifting and everything like that, cold plunging, as we talked about yesterday, things
Mm-hmm.
that will just put a lot of stress on the body and on your hormones. And what a lot of people don't know is when we are stressed, we burn through a lot of nutrients. We burn through them. And we need those nutrients also. So nutrients are not coming in, and we push them out through stressing the body out. And so
Mm-hmm.
that creates a vicious cycle in itself also. So yeah, was it something else you asked about this?
Yeah, it was really just about the weight gain. I think I kind of want to tap like into both of those components you brought up because I think they're both really interesting. So, starting with the exercise, you mentioned how women absolutely should be cautious of over exercising. With that
Yes.
being said, like I've seen on your page, there's some really incredible body transformations of people who've really done your program and worked with you on their thyroid health. So, what training do you subscribe to? What training do you do or recommend?
Yeah. So work with your cycle is what I recommend. And when it comes to like if you want to do a training that's always safe, then do walking. Do a lot
Mhm.
of walking. It will never go wrong. And but I focus more on lifting weights than doing hardcore exercises. Like if you are in your peak, like when you're ovulating, then you can do running and stuff like that for your cardiovascular system. And I think it's a good way also. You can incorporate that, but I think maybe in the beginning, maybe focus on just calming your body down, bring it into a like rest and digest, and maybe not focus so much stressing out about the weight in the beginning, because healing comes before the
Mm,
weight will peel off, you know.
yeah.
But and the weight will peel off, but you need to put the body first in a state where it feels safe, because it probably hasn't been feeling that due to your lifestyle. And there are many factors that can put the body into stress. And another thing that is big in for women is that we use so many products that can also be toxic, and that is a stress we don't talk about today in today's society, that it also is a big stress for the body.
Hmm. Yeah, let's get into that. So, for products and
Mm-hmm.
toxins, what are some of the most like havoc-wreaking products when it comes to your hormones and your thyroid, or like the worst ingredients that you're seeing in common household or self-care products?
Yeah, and so we talked about this yesterday also, but perfumes are a big one,
Hmm.
especially if you spray it directly onto the skin. And you even mentioned like you actually spray it on the thyroid a lot of the times, because you spray it on your throat, right? And
Hmm.
your thyroid is right here. And so you basically spray toxins right on it. And the skin is so absorbent. It's not just laying there, it actually goes into your bloodstream. And so imagine just reading that label, all the chemicals that is in these products. And it's not just like one or two chemicals, it's like 20.
Hmm.
And there has not been studies done to see what this does to your body long term or even short term, and especially not in combination. All these different toxins in
Right.
combination, what it does to your body. And so that's just crazy that they can sell it, and that it's not like a label on the front warning people, like there is with cigarettes, also filled with chemicals, but like there should really be labels on perfumes.
Hmm.
However, there aren't, but that's one aspect. Then we have like our environment in our homes that are so toxic. And among the worst ones are the things we either put inside our bodies or the things we breathe in, because that also goes into our body, right? So any air refresheners, really anything with perfume, so laundry detergents, especially cleaning products. Oh my God, cleaning products. They can even be so strong sometimes that you even like want to cough, because
Yeah.
you spray it and it's so chemical and you really feel it.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, do your, like you had a good like option, like do your own cleaning products. I also do it, and it's so easy. Baking
Yeah.
soda or like lemon and vinegar, whatever you have in your home, you can basically use to clean it instead. Especially if you have like, as you said, dogs, or if you have
Hmm.
kids crawling around on the floors, like you don't want them to get that into their mouths, because we know that kids and animals, they put everything in their mouths.
Oh yeah. I mean, like
Yeah.
everyone's dog will like lick the floor if you drop food. Like my dog, anytime I cook, she goes into the kitchen and will lick the floor to check it out. And
Yes.
think about if you're mopping your floor with like Pine Sol, and who
Mm.
knows what's in that, right? And then your animal's actually eating it, which is
Yes.
terrifying. And like I'm pretty sure there's probably a poison control label somewhere on that bottle that says,
Yes.
call poison control if you consume it. So with all of that, when it comes to like body and self-care, what are some brands, products, or ingredients that you like for yourself?
Yeah, so for me, I try to not use makeup. I found it just easier because like even like we discussed, there are so many clean brands that
Mhm.
aren't really clean, because I had actually um, foundation that supposedly was clean. And then when I didn't wear makeup for a long time, I actually did have a breakout when I applied it. And so I think if you can go without makeup, it will be better. And it will also be like a detox for your mind, because I think we learn in this society, especially as women, that we are not good enough the way we look. And so we always need to change the way we look through fillers, through Botox, and a lot of these interventions. And as you said, like when you're healthy, you're gonna glow.
Mm-hmm.
And so why we probably feel this way is because a lot of us aren't healthy. And so our skin breaks out, our hair gets thin, our nails break easy. And so we feel like we need to find out like different interventions to fix it, you know? But what we really should be focusing on in is fixing our health, because
Mm-hmm.
then our face will be clean and our hair will grow. We don't need extensions. We won't need the nails done every week, everything like that.
Yeah.
Um, and so, as you said, like you will glow when you get healthy. And a lot of the things that we find attractive is actually markers of health, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's interesting too, even with like the Botox and filler. So like full
Yes.
lips, yes, there's a level where like your lips are going to be directly related to your ethnicity, your culture. Like I know for me, I'm part Filipino, which a lot of people don't know, which is why I have
Mm,
big lips, but people assume because I look so white that it's filler, right?
yeah.
But even
Yeah.
beyond that, like
Even me, like,
yeah, people are
I'm
like, what?
shocked.
It's
Yeah.
especially in the winter time when I get really pale, they're like, "Wait, hold up." But even beyond that, like healthy full lips are a sign of healthy progesterone, right? So like your
Mm,
lips are going to be a little more plump if your hormones are balanced, or like let's talk like Botox, forehead, like forehead wrinkles actually start in the back of the neck and in the traps. Like it's that stress and tension, you're holding onto muscular tension, and it creates all
mm,
this tension through your scalp and up into your forehead muscles. It's like, okay, well, if we can
yes.
address stress and postural distortions and all these things that are causing us
Yes.
to clench up, you're going to see a lot better results. And so it's so funny because I'm like, or even just like through lymphatic massage, all these things, I'm like, if you can
Yes.
really get an incredible result without these toxins. But I think a lot of these things, like
Mm,
French manicures, which I'm guilty of loving a French manicure, but like French
mm,
manicures, Botox, filler, all these things are actually like they're like masks for a symptom of health.
yes.
Like they're a counterfeit.
Yes.
And I think that's
Yeah.
it's interesting because we pay money to get a symptom we would get if we could just get healthy.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And as you say, like even posture with the thyroid is also important, because
Mm,
if you're too like hunched over, it will decrease the blood flow to your thyroid. And so things like that that you don't even think about could really make a big change. Even like your liver, if it's congested with a lot of toxins and things like that, it can even lower your T3, which you
wow.
need to produce thyroid hormones. And so there are just a lot of things like that that we don't think about. So that's like a good start also. Um, if you can, like what I did is, I don't know, I'm this type of person who goes cold turkey into everything. So I just threw away all my products.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, okay, if I need something, I will have to figure it out. So I keep myself like, what's it called? Um, so I know I have to do it, you know,
Yeah, accountable.
and accountable. Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, when you said the posture thing, I literally like sat up straighter. I'm like, hang on.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
it's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so speaking of liver and kind of detoxing the liver, are you a
Mhm.
fan of interventions like enemas and colonics when it comes to thyroid health?
I haven't done it myself, and so I tend to not recommend things I haven't tried myself.
Mm-hmm.
But I did the castor oil pack,
Yeah. Oh,
and so
love
I love
those.
those. Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
I
those are
really love
great.
those.
Do you like
Yeah.
apply heat when you do it, or do you just put the like I that's what like I've never done it with heat, and I guess that's better that way. Is it better if you
Mhm.
like how do you do it? Walk us through the process.
Yeah, so I haven't done it with heat either, but I just do it before like I go to bed and then
Hmm.
I leave it on throughout the night. And so I have this pad and then I add just the castor oil to it and then I wrap it like around my stomach with like a belt, but I don't keep it too hard. But
Hmm.
just to keep it there throughout the
Yeah.
night, and then I take it off in the morning and shower and just the
Yeah.
regular.
And it's nice. It's so moisturizing too. It gives you a little glow. I always feel a little
Mm-hmm.
snatched. Yeah, it's amazing. What about something like red light for thyroid? I've been reading more and more about studies with red
Yes.
light. Is that something that you're a fan of when it comes to like putting it near or on your neck?
Like, yes, of course, if you can afford that, if you cannot, there is no worries because you have it for free outside.
Yeah, that's true.
And yeah, and so I say, like, if you can do sunrise or sunset and just have your thyroid, like, have your neck exposed, and you
Hmm.
will get that through that as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, of course, anything that works, anything that it has been proven, I think you can give it a shot. Like, why not? And it's
Yeah.
also so good for your circadian rhythm if you can just get out in the morning, like 15 minutes in the morning, and then 15 minutes when the sun goes down, and you get free red light exposure, and you set your like circadian rhythm, which will also help balancing your hormones and well, you will get sleep at night. And a lot of
Hmm.
people have problems with that also, not being able to fall asleep. And sometimes it is because of that. Like we have too much of the wrong type of light around us.
Yeah.
We have this blue fluorescent light, and we really need that red light
Hmm.
and more like yellow toned.
Yeah.
But for some reason, every lamp nowadays is blue.
Yes. Oh my gosh. It's so bad. Like the overhead lights, like I've been trying to be so disciplined about after sunset, keeping lights at eye level or lower. And it's
Yes.
hard though, because you do end up having to like just adjust to a more den-like mentality, but really
Mm-hmm.
worth it. So I would be really curious to see too when it comes to like poor sleep, poor circadian health. So obviously we know like progesterone is a very sedating hormone, right? It's very calming and
Yeah.
it helps people sleep. When people are on HRT with progesterone, they often say they're sleeping better. And thyroid
Mm-hmm.
has, if your thyroid's not working, you're likely going to have low progesterone as well. So I'm curious,
Mm.
did you see or do you see ever when people heal their thyroids that they actually are able to sleep better or overcome insomnia?
Yeah, for sure. But I think I don't really know what is causing what. I
Mm-hmm.
just know that when you change your lifestyle to a more lifestyle that we are adapted to living as humans, then everything will kind of work like a clock.
Yeah.
But yes, yes, of course, and sleep is so important, uh, and it should be restored. How do you say it?
Like
Restorative.
restorative?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It should you should feel fresh when you wake up,
Mm,
and a lot of women with Hashimoto's has that too. Like when they wake up, they don't feel refreshed. They don't
yeah.
feel like they have rested. They still feel very tired and has a hard time like catching up that it's
Yeah.
morning.
Absolutely. So, and I'm curious too, because I think a lot of people are going to ask this question. What's the
Yeah.
main difference between hypothyroid and Hashimoto's?
Yeah. And so hypothyroidism is basically just saying that your thyroid levels are low. So
Hmm.
technically, Hashimoto's is also hypothyroidism. And so a lot of the times, doctors only check the TSH, but
Mm,
they don't check the antibodies, which is the difference between the two. So what Hashimoto's is the autoimmune version of it. So you can technically have low thyroid without having antibodies. But a lot of people actually probably have Hashimoto's, but they don't
mm,
know about that because they don't test for it. And I even heard one practitioner say in her book that she's a functional practitioner, but she said that probably around 80% actually has Hashimoto's, but they
Wow.
never get to find this out until they get other autoimmune
Right.
diseases, and then they start to like, okay, puzzle the pieces together.
Right.
But that's very unfortunate. It's something that we really should do in the society, just test for the antibodies, the
Right.
TPO. Yeah. And so, yeah, the difference is that Hashimoto's is the autoimmune version, which basically means that your body is attacking your thyroid. So
Mm-hmm.
it can actually potentially break down completely. For my mother, it did that because
Mm.
she was not very, like, she was mistreated by the conventional medical system for so many years that, and yeah, so that she doesn't have a thyroid anymore
Wow.
at all. Yeah. And so
Yeah.
she's totally dependent. But for people who still have a thyroid, there is hope. So don't worry. Even if it has gone many years, it doesn't matter. If you still have a thyroid, you still have hope.
That's really beautiful too, to remind people, because
Yes.
I think that some people do, and like I was saying yesterday, and like you've brought up, some people are scared that once they get that diagnosis, I mean, they could be young, they could be a teenager in their 20s, right?
Mm,
And then they're like, man, so I have to go on this medication the rest of my life and probably go on a higher dose at some point. And it just
mm,
doesn't feel right to spend, who knows, like 70 years on a medication.
mm.
And but no one's really told in the conventional space that there are things lifestyle wise you can do. We're just kind of told, oh, it's genetic,
Yes.
oh, it's
Yes.
inevitable, like it runs in your family. And I'm like, okay, well,
Yeah.
maybe I always had the philosophy like genetics put the bullet in the chamber, but our lifestyle pulls the trigger. Or
Yeah,
even
for
a lot
sure.
of genetic diseases, in quotations, would be, in my opinion, that you're learning lifestyles, learned behaviors through generations. It's not
Yeah.
necessarily like my mom's genes carry this, predisposition, so mine do. There could also be a level
Mm.
of like, we have been practicing these generational patterns for this
Yes.
many years, right? And so I think there's just a lot of
Yes.
different, like, the word genetic is so much more nuanced than our
Mm.
medical system makes it out to be. And I see that a
Yes.
lot. Like, I think it's really cool how one person, like you, were the person to be like, okay, I'm going to kind of break this generational cycle, right?
Yeah.
And by doing that, you're going to be helping like the future generation, like your kids if you have them, your grandkids if you have them, and kind of
Mm.
ending a cycle of sickness. And I think it takes one person to kind of end that cycle. So I think it's phenomenal. Okay, so we talked a little about sunlight and sunshine and the infrared from that. I kind of want to backtrack to that. How
Hmm.
does like sunscreen play into this? What's your philosophy when it comes to SPF?
Yeah. And so, can I just touch on what you said?
Yeah, of
Because I
course.
think it was so strong. And if you would ask someone, okay, point out the gene for
Mm-hmm.
Hashimoto's, I don't think they would find it. I don't think
No.
they have even found a gene for these different things. But it's a good question. What is habits and what is genetics, really?
Mm-hmm.
Could it be, like you said, that you have a certain lifestyle that you get from your parents and that you keep going with you and your family that
Yeah.
leads to the same outcome? And so I think that was so strong. And I do believe that too, since obviously we can change it from your lifestyle changes.
Right.
And so you're not doomed just because you have the genes, because
Right.
that's just one factor out of three that they say is very important for like an autoimmune disease to develop. So
Mm-hmm.
one will be the genetics, another will be gut dysbiosis, so unbalanced gut, leaky gut, and the third one is stress. And so removing one of those, you only have to remove one of those. Either, though I would recommend, of course,
Yeah.
trying to fix all of them. But the genetic part, or like you said, it could also be just habits. That one you cannot change potentially, but you can change the other two.
Mm-hmm.
So you're absolutely not doomed. When it comes to sunscreen, I don't use it unless I know that I will be out in a very in a place with very strong sun, like maybe if I'm out here in Dubai midday and I know I will be out for like 5 hours, then of
Mm-hmm.
course, yeah, I will use like a natural zinc sunscreen or something like that. But otherwise, no, because they're usually so freaking toxic.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because they're supposed to help you not get skin cancer, right? But the
Mm-hmm.
ingredients in sunscreen actually causes cancer for a lot of the brands. And
Yeah.
so if you use sunscreen, make sure you have like a good natural, like mineral based one if you're going to opt for that, and try not to use it like all the time, because if you think about it, you also block out the sun. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we have been taught like, no, it will give you wrinkles, it will make you age faster, it will make you like, it will cause your skin to have these pigment changes and stuff like that. And sure, it can do that, but the benefits for your health will be so much greater than those things. And
Mm-hmm.
of course, you can be smart when it comes to the sun. Like if you're out midday, then the sun is going to be stronger. But if you're out in the morning time or late in the evening, like you can be out for hours. Like for many people, like
Mm-hmm.
there are some people that have like very white skin and will burn from anything. And for those people, I'm like, I feel for them
Yeah.
because the sun has so many benefits, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, in this day and age, there's so many natural treatments, and maybe this is a hot take, but I'm like, okay, so maybe I go in the sun and it ages me a little faster. I'll just go get
Yeah.
microneedling. Like, I know that's such a that's such an extreme mentality, but I'm just like, whatever. There's so much out there
Yeah.
that we can do to mitigate that. If that's something you really care about,
Hmm.
there are options out there, but I think the benefits definitely outweigh. Yeah, and it's like if you go in the morning, you have high infrared, low UV, and same with the evening. Like you're getting
Yes.
all those benefits. It's that midday where
Yes.
the sun's most harsh. And sure, seek shade if you burn easily in that time. Like that's
Yes.
fine.
Yes.
But like,
But
yeah,
also,
it's
but also, like you said, with your diet, if you have a lot of seed oils in your diet, you
mm-hmm.
tend to burn more easily. And there are so many people that has gone out and talked about this to be true. Like I removed seed oils and then all of a sudden I didn't burn as easy in the sun. So of course, if you have an inflammatory diet, like a standard American diet, with a
Yeah.
lot of carbs, with a lot of like seed oils, things like that, of course you might burn easier in the sun. But if you're eating like whole foods, mainly super clean, not eating that many seed oils, like avoiding them like the plague, like you should,
Yeah.
then you're good to go, probably, for most people.
Absolutely. Yeah, and think about when you go to like an all-inclusive resort. Like I think a lot about, okay, when people go on
Mm,
vacation, what do they have? Unlimited alcohol, unlimited like seed oil
yes.
foods, tons of sugar most likely. They're eating dessert constantly. And when you go to these
Mm,
resorts, you see some of the most crispy burnt people you'll ever see, right? And I'm always
yes.
like, how much of this, I mean, if we're constantly inundating our bodies with things that are so inflammatory, yeah, of course, versus I know even my
Hmm.
own life, like I used to burn, I could always get tan, but I used to also burn. And then when
Yes.
I changed my diet and changed my lifestyle, I literally
Hmm.
stopped burning. Like I do not burn, even if I'm outside all day, even if I forget to put on sunscreen. And it's
Yes.
pretty incredible how your skin reacts when you're no longer in the state of constant inflammation and oxidation inside your body.
Yeah, for sure. And like getting vitamin D is probably like the most therapeutic thing you can do for your
Mm-hmm.
body and your immune system, especially like
Yeah.
if you have an autoimmune disease, you should opt for like 40 minutes a day at least.
Yeah,
And like
absolutely.
that's, yeah. And so, but it's also so funny because like we talked about, when you become more healthy you also look more healthy, and so many people ask me like, what skincare do you use? Have you had like Botox and everything like this? And I'm like, no. I mean, like, I use water to wash my face, and then I'm out in the sun, and they're like, and eat like an anti-inflammatory diet, and they're like shocked. They're like, but how can your skin look like that? How can you not have like wrinkles on your forehead and like, and I'm like, no. And I have seen like other 26-year-olds, and it was even this one picture that was trending on Instagram, I think,
Mm-hmm.
with a girl. She was posting, and she had a lot of wrinkles, and she was
Yeah.
my age. And
Isn't
so
it
I was
wild?
like, yeah. And everyone was like, oh, it's the sun, it's the sun. And I'm like, but I don't look like that. And
Mm-hmm.
I go out in the sun so often. And
Yeah.
so I try, I think that sometimes, like, I love social media in many ways, and I hate it in many ways
Yeah.
because people like us, we get to meet and we get to reach out to people in need. And I think it's so beautiful. We get to share our stories and bring some hope in this world. But also, I feel like a lot of symptoms of being unhealthy is getting normalized. I
Yeah.
know, yeah, I know a lot of girls who like post when they're bloated and like this is normal. And it's like yeah, it can happen sometimes, but you shouldn't like normalize it. You should try
Mm-hmm.
to seek a little bit further, like, okay, but why do I get bloated all the time? Is
Yeah.
there, you know?
Yeah. Well, I think the problem is that we have replaced the word common with the word normal. So you
Exactly.
see, like, we're seeing bloating is very common. Does that make it
Yes.
normal? No. Unexplained
Mm-mm.
infertility is common. Does that make it normal?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we're like,
Yeah,
things are
I
common,
love
so
it.
they're normal. And then we're even, okay, I feel like I'm gonna get in so much trouble for this. So if you don't want to answer,
Go
that's
ahead.
fine. But speaking of all that, do you think that the body positivity movement on social media has gone too far?
Yeah, yeah, it has.
Yeah. What do you think are the most
Because
toxic parts?
yeah, so I don't love when people promote things like this as normal, because I
Mhm.
believe it like you, that the normal state of a human being is being healthy. And so just because it's common that we are unhealthy today and have a lot of symptoms and issues, I don't think we should normalize it, because that is just going to put us into a confusion, because we should be healthy. And I hear so many times people say, oh, I'm just getting sicker because I'm getting older. And I'm like, just because there's a correlation doesn't mean this is the causation, you know? This is the
Mhm.
cause to why this is happening. Just because usually when people get older, they get sicker, doesn't mean that this is the natural way that's supposed to be like this. No, we're supposed to be healthy. And we can see, like, in tribes that, you know, live naturally, they don't have the sicknesses we have today.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I don't like the way we normalize things like bloating, things like acne. Um, and also, I have seen a lot of like body positivity saying that obesity is normal,
Mhm.
which which also, because when you think about it, insulin is a hormone, and not a lot of people know this. And when you have a lot of excess fats to the point where you're obese, then you have too much insulin in your body, because that is stored in your fat cells. And so if you're obese, you really need to look into that. And it's a serious condition, because it it's it's literally, like, I don't know, I think it's correlated with so many diseases, and especially diabetes and things like that. And I don't think it should be promoted like something positive,
Mhm.
if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I think it's serious talk. Like,
Yeah. No, and I think some of the common pushback that I know I've gotten, so I'm curious what you think too. So for
Yes.
context, there's another platform that I'm a creator for, and they'll ask me to do like all these different topics, like different controversial health and wellness topics, because they know I just don't
Mm-hmm.
shy away from anything. And so
Yeah.
they asked me to post on do on whether weight matters in dating. Like, would I date someone at any weight?
Mm.
And so I did a whole post like, when I was single, or if I was single now, I would never date a fat man. And I was
Yeah.
like, it's not like, I mean, actually, there is part of it that I just wouldn't be attracted to somebody who's obese. But like, there's
Yeah.
also the level that because I'm healthy, because I have healthy hormones and I work out and like
Yes.
prioritize health, I could never be with someone who didn't value that, and someone who didn't exude like fertility and vitality, right? And the first
Mm-hmm.
comment I get was someone being like, by the way, being fat doesn't make you unhealthy. Like, what would your response be? Because
Mm.
I think we do get some pushback now, people being like, well, obesity itself isn't a disease, it's not actually unhealthy.
Yeah, and so I know you can be a little bit overweight. So it depends on where you put the
Mm-hmm.
fat stamp, you know? And so I know you can be a little bit overweight and still be technically healthy. But like there is a line to where you're obese, and obviously that's not healthy. It's something you need to look into. And so, yes, of course, you can be a little bit overweight or fat, how you want to put it, like, and still be technically healthy. But a lot of the cases, I tend to see that it's not the case.
Yeah. Like, what lifestyle
Like,
habits got you there, right?
yes, because what led you to being overweight? And a lot of the times it's due to inflammation, like
Mm-hmm.
excess water weight, excess fat on your body,
Mm-hmm.
which of course also drives up estrogen for men.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's, and I also did a post about this on my story saying that, but I talked more general. I talked both for men and women. Like a lot of the signs of health is actually like not what we're seeing, and being overweight, having a lot of excess fat, everything like this, having acne, having, you know, thinning of the
Mm-hmm.
hair, everything like this, it's not attractive, because a lot of the times what we look for in a partner, especially, is someone that looks like, yeah, they can give you good genes, like for your
Mm-hmm.
kids, for example. For a woman, we look for a partner that has strong genes, that really
Mm-hmm.
looks good, and there is an attractiveness factor. And I don't think it's, why can't you have a standard? Of course you can have a
Yeah.
standard. It's so
Yeah.
silly.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, but I also had someone commenting like, oh, you cannot say this. But I'm like, okay, but show me how it is not true.
Yeah, that's like, someone has to say it. And it's,
Yeah.
yeah, love yourself at every stage. Like, if you are that person that
Mm,
woke up today and you're morbidly obese and you want to start your health journey, love yourself now. Love
yes.
yourself and get healthy because you love yourself. Like, it doesn't mean you have to hate
Yes.
yourself at any stage.
No.
It just means that, like, just in the same way that if you have a thyroid condition, a hormone condition, any other condition, it's time to look at your lifestyle and time to get
Yes.
healthy, right? And that's out of love. It's not because you hate yourself. I didn't heal my thyroid
Yeah.
because I hated myself, right? I did it because I
Exactly.
thought I deserved better. And I
Yeah.
just think it's so funny too, because I'm like, okay, they say it's not unhealthy to be overweight, but reality is most people you see who are overweight are eating a very unhealthy diet, very lots of ultra processed foods, living a pretty
Mm.
sedentary lifestyle, right? Like, not
Yes.
moving, not doing these healthy things.
Mm.
And the ones that are saying like, no, I'm working out, I'm eating healthy. Then I'm like, okay, well then
Mm.
you should go look at your hormones. Because if
Yes.
you're living the super healthy lifestyle that you talk about and your body still looks like that, that tells me there's some sort of hormonal issue, and that you actually really should do some root cause work, like go get a full lab panel and find out why, if you're doing all these healthy things, your body looks that way, because something's not adding up internally.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And even like emotional stuff. But whatever it is, it's like you say, you do it for yourself out of love. And when you and I go out and speak the truth, like I wouldn't want to date someone also that is obese or has a lot of acne and everything like that. And it's also out of love, because we wouldn't say that if we just cared about ourselves and wanted to be loved, like, because it's controversial, right? Going out saying these kind of things, it can backlash. You can get a lot
Yeah.
of hate. And so when we do that, it's actually to, out of love, to give you a chance in life. Like if you're, especially if you're a male, like there are so many men today that live alone.
Yeah.
In Sweden, my home country, they say that about 50% of men, half of the population of men, are singles.
That's
They
so
live
sad.
alone. That's super
Wow.
sad. That's super sad. They live alone. 50% of the population. It's
It's
also like,
wild.
when you think about it, what is that going to mean for the future, for
Yeah.
the country? You know, if
Mm-hmm.
if half of the men doesn't find a woman and doesn't have kids, like we will shrink in population like this,
Yeah.
and it will change the whole infrastructure. So it's large scale and small scale, like you can see it from so many angles, but it's important, and we do need that connection also to be healthy. And as I touched on, like I was actually looking into this a little extra this week, just the emotional connections with autoimmunity and Hashimoto's for the thyroid. And for kids who grew up in a home where perhaps the parents, they gave them a roof over their heads and food on the table, but they couldn't give the emotional connection. They couldn't be there. They couldn't hold you when you cried. Things like that. They actually see like a 80% increase in autoimmunity, Hashimoto's
Wow.
especially, yes. And why that is, it's because it drives up your stress. And so it depletes your nutrients, causing potential also hormonal disruption. And
Wow.
so, yeah. And so this is just crazy. And there's so many factors when it comes to health. But just starting like with the stress and with healing the gut, you will go so far, you know.
Yeah.
You will get so far, and cleaning out the products in your home, just these three things, you will go so far. And then of course for some there might be extra work also for traumatic experiences like this,
Yeah.
because it's so normalized in today's society. Parents who are very disconnected and overstressed, overworked, not really there for their kids, not really present. It's so normalized.
Yeah.
And it's, the sad part is it leads to a whole generation of kids potentially getting sick,
Yeah.
and potentially repeating the cycles, unfortunately. But my hope is that spreading awareness about this and just telling the truth with love, as you said, that could change the world. And I really
Yeah.
do believe that. But it takes someone to break the cycle. It is like that. But once you do it, you have saved your whole line of
Yeah.
family, you know, your whole
Yeah.
family line. So it's so incredible. It's like a curse and a blessing in the same.
Yeah. It feels like being the chosen one. Like, you're like, I'm the
Yeah,
one. I'm
yeah.
gonna save my bloodline here. Well, I
Yes.
think it's so interesting what you said about connection too. And like,
Mm.
I come at this disclaimer with no science. This is just a thought. But
Yes.
I'm really, one thing that I think we've seen a lot since, let's look even at like the sexual revolution in the 60s and then the feminist movement, is a very
Yeah.
much a disconnection between the mother and the household. And
Yes.
now we're seeing like the cry it out kind of method, like having babies learn to self-soothe from newborn on. And I was talking to my sister who I'm so glad. Okay, yeah. I was talking to my sister who is actually a counselor. And she was saying, because I was like, something doesn't, I'm like, how is it the baby's job to soothe themselves? I feel like that's not going to help them have a healthy attachment. My sister was like, yeah, actually, like babies can't self-soothe. They don't have the capacity. When they fall asleep, like when they cry themselves asleep, they're actually shutting down and it's a trauma response. So like
Yes.
once they like they
Yes.
cry themselves asleep, it's not because they've soothed. She's like, their brain literally shutting down because they can't handle the trauma. And it's like a
Yes.
defense mechanism. And I'm like, wait, why are we as a society encouraging parents to let their babies literally cry it out and not know that like at their most fragile, delicate, tiny state, their parents aren't going to pick them up and comfort them?
It's so horrible. It's so horrible because that's also a thing. Like they borrow your nervous system. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's why they need the skin to skin contact and the eye contact and everything like that. Because when they cry, you are going to be there and say, it's okay. And look them in the
Yeah.
eye and soothe them and hug them. And then they will feel a little bit better.
Yeah.
But they cannot do that themselves. And what
Mm-hmm.
happens when you do that is they grow up becoming an adult that is numb
Mm.
and shuts out and disconnects because they feel safer when they are by themselves. They cannot trust other people.
Wow.
Yes, so it rewires their whole nervous system and their brain.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
so, yeah, and so it's detrimental. It's absolutely awful. And imagine, just imagine trying to take like a bear cub from their mama.
Oh, you would be dead.
She would literally rip you
Yeah.
into pieces rather than you separating her from her
Yeah.
baby.
So why are
And
humans not
so,
that way?
and so why do we let the society do that to us and our babies? It's
Mm-hmm.
so crazy. And I've heard, you have to correct me on this if you know, but in the US, you don't get a lot of time with the baby when it arrives. Is that
Yeah.
true? Like
Unless
paid
you
leave?
go, yeah, so maternity leave, yeah, it's kind of messed up. I think it's like, I mean, it's not something I'll ever have to deal with because I'm self-employed,
Mm,
which is great, but
mm,
I think it's like 6 weeks for a lot of people. Sometimes it's 3 months, but it's not
mm.
a lot. That's not enough time. I mean, that
No,
like especially because I think about even like their immune system is so weak, right? And so what are you gonna do? Give them to
yeah,
daycare as they're trying to develop an immune system? They should really just be home with their mom, like sharing a
yes,
microbiome with their mom.
yes, yes, for sure. And they say, oh, it's good for them with kindergarten because they get to like socialize with other kids, la la la. Your kids don't need to socialize. Your babies don't need to socialize. The
Mhm.
only thing they need is their mama.
Mhm.
That's the only thing they need, like the at least the first 2 years of their lives.
Yeah.
And they need your presence at least the first 5 years of their lives,
Yeah.
or seven for some kids if they are extra, like their difference also between the kids depending on how they take social interactions, how their nervous system is and everything like that. Some kids need more attention, so then it's up to 7 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like you say, with even with the immune system, like kids have like an immune system that they get from the mother,
Mhm.
but there are two parts of the immune system: the adaptive and the inherent immune system. And one is still developing up till 7 years of age.
Wow.
And so it's not done, it's not
Mhm.
perfected yet. And so that's also one thing with the vaccines.
Yep.
And I saw the hearing they had in recently, where they talked about the vaccines and the outcomes, and they have seen links between ADHD and things like that, but
Mhm.
even autoimmune diseases. And for some vaccines, there was a 400%
Wow.
increase in autoimmune issues
Wow.
and and disorders compared to a kid that was not vaccinated.
Hmm. It's crazy too. Like I was just getting to this conversation last night with a friend and we were talking about vaccines and stuff. And I was like,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a levels like it's hard to because she's like, well, what would you do in all these different scenarios? And I was like, well, for starters, I don't even believe that they work. So like
Yes.
I wouldn't
We
like
can start there.
yeah, like to start, like I wouldn't feel more comfortable if my kid's vaccinated against something if I don't
Mm.
actually think the vaccine's gonna help them. Let's start
Mm.
there. And
Mm.
so I'm like, first of all, I don't even like, I mean, let's look at the COVID vaccine, hot topic, but like, I don't know
Yes.
anyone, everyone I know who got vaccinated had COVID more times than me and worse than me. I got it once, never
Yes.
got it again, felt great.
Yeah.
And everyone I know who got it, like got the vaccine, had it at least twice, had horrible symptoms. I'm like, so
Yes.
why are you getting this thing that literally doesn't work? It's
Yeah.
crazy. And so there's that. And then there's also a lot to be said for like I have a lot of thoughts, even with like there's a lot of research indicates, I don't want to say proves, but
Mm.
indicates that with a lot of
Mm.
prolific diseases, for instance, polio,
Mm.
that
Yeah.
by the time the vaccine came out, we had already reached herd immunity.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the history
Yeah.
has been rewritten a little bit, and I think people have a hard time understanding that. I'm like, the reason I don't think that they haven't cured things is because I think a lot of diseases by the time a vaccine was released to the public were already on their way out, and people had actually reached that herd immunity. So the vaccine swoops in, saves the day in the history books, but is that really what happened in history? I
No,
can't
no.
prove that. I can't prove it, but
Yeah.
that is what I see a lot indicating.
Yeah. And I agree with you on that. And also the other part is, I don't know, have you read the ingredients in a lot of these
It's
vaccines?
crazy.
It's like the craziest things,
Hmm.
like parts of a monkey, parts of a fetal, parts of a pig,
Yeah.
like weird stuff. Like,
Yeah.
why would you put that heavy metals, which we
Hmm.
know is super duper toxic to the body? It's like one of the
Yeah.
worst things, and it's so hard to detox also. And so, okay, and then we spray or we push that into the blood of a baby, of a
Yeah.
little baby that doesn't even have an immune system that is developed yet, fully
Yeah.
developed, and we expect them to now thrive. Like, what?
Yeah.
Like, no. Stop.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's madness.
Yeah.
How can we do this? It's That's one of the worst things about our society today, that the kids, they are so, like, how to say this, they're so fragile, they're so out there. How
Hmm.
can they defend themselves?
Yeah.
They can't
Right.
say, stop mama, it contains la 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 la. Like, you have to do
Yeah.
like all the research yourself, and if you don't, like, they're not gonna tell you this. They're
No,
not
not
gonna
at
tell
all.
you, no. And
It's
so,
crazy.
yeah, it's madness. So there's so many things like that can lead to things like this, but one thing that I myself am thinking is just, the less I'm in the conventional medical system and touches any of their interventions, the better.
Hmm.
And like, I don't want to believe that, but seeing what I've seen, hearing what I've heard, like facts, studies, people coming out saying things like that, just seems to ring the truest. And so,
Yeah.
unfortunately, that seems to be the case.
Yeah. And you
And
judge
even
a oh, go
things,
ahead.
yeah, no, like even things I didn't thought would be that hurtful, like ibuprofen, is it called that?
Hmm.
Like, you take it when you have like a headache or something. It has shown like increasing increasing the risk for like autism, ADHD, and even gut issues. Like, it
Hmm.
causes a lot of gut issues that I didn't like. You would never have thought like a
Yeah.
simple pill like that everyone uses would be that hurtful. But
Yeah.
nobody tells you this stuff. So
Yeah.
it's it's just crazy.
It is crazy. And, I always say, like, judge a tree by the fruit. Like, the healthiest
Yes.
people I know are the ones who avoid a lot of these interventions, use natural remedies, right? And
Yeah.
I have yet to find somebody who is an aspirational level of healthy that still subscribes to Western medicine. I know that might offend some, but I've yet to meet a person who still gets vaccines, who still takes Tylenol, who still takes ibuprofen, who does all these
Yes.
things,
Yeah.
who where I'm like, I want to be like you, I want to look like you, I want your level of health. All the people that I look at and I'm like, wow, like you have this glow. I want to be more like you, are the ones who are doing the opposite of all that. And I think that's the other thing is there's studies, there's this, there's that. There's also just anecdotal evidence in front of you. Who are the people? Like people always will be like, what's your workout regimen? How did you get that way? How did you do this? And then I tell them and they're like scared. Like they want the result until they find out what it takes, right?
Yeah.
Everybody wants the six pack and everybody wants the clear skin and whatever until they find out that you don't do any of these things. You take beef organs every day. Like and then suddenly they're like, oh, but that's weird and wrong. I'm like, okay, well,
Yeah.
if it's working for people, if people are genuinely so healthy that you're asking them what they're doing, clearly it's not wrong. I mean, anecdotally,
Yes.
there's a lot of power in that. So, kind of speaking on that before we run out of time, really
Mm-hmm.
important. I don't want to miss this with you. I would love to hear about your diet because I know that you follow Whole Foods, but are you more on the carnivore end? Like, what are you doing now?
Yeah, so I would say I'm like you. I'm pretty much animal based. And so, like, I would say, like, I eat two big meals a day, and those are meats,
Mm-hmm.
basically. And to that, I can also have some egg yolks because I tolerate eggs very well. And so I'm very lucky. And I also tolerate lactose very well. And if you don't tolerate lactose, you can always opt for like coconut milk or something like that. But yeah, and so sometimes I do like a liver smoothie. And so I add a piece of liver into some milk and some raw egg yolks, because when you do it like that you get the most out of the nutrients also. But if you don't tolerate the milk, then just take the coconut.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and so I think it's really important, as you said, with the organs and with liver food, especially for women, because it's so rich in iron first and foremost. And just knowing that if you're low in iron, that will weaken your immune system. And
Mm-hmm.
so we bleed every single month. And if you don't eat very, very like iron rich foods, so now I'm talking like red meat, I'm talking liver, I'm not talking like spinach or blueberries. That's not the type of iron you want. You want a hem iron. And so for you to get the right levels of that, you need to incorporate liver, I would say, especially in this time of age, and especially if you eat a lot of carbs, because
Mm.
that's also going to put an extra stress on the body. And so eating liver is one of the best things you can do, period. And you should opt for, I would say, if you eat a lot of carbs, you should be getting like 450 grams of liver a week. If you're like more carnivore, very animal based, and you eat a lot of red meat also, then you can go a little lower. So then it's like 250
Mm.
grams 2 times a week. So yeah, there's also a big difference depending on where you're at. But yeah, you should really up your liver intake and organs in general. And if you can't tolerate eggs, they are super good for you, especially for breakfast. I mean, a lot
Mm-hmm.
of people are like, well, I don't want to eat meat for breakfast. But like, then you can take eggs. Like, then you
Mm-hmm.
also get the cholesterol, which will also help your brain, and it will also calm your nervous system down. And it's really such a health food that has got such a bad rap, also with the red meats. Like, it's the most nutritional thing you can eat on this planet, those two,
Mm-hmm.
and the organ meats. And so really focusing on those is so beneficial for your health. And healthy fats. You can include butter. I know a lot of people tolerate butter even though they're sensitive to lactose. And so that could be a really good way to include that. Also, if you are sensitive to even butter, then you can use ghee.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are so many ways to do it. And to that, like sometimes I have a couple of blueberries, you know,
Yeah.
or some Greek yogurts or something like that. But it depends on every person, and you have to really try out for yourself what you tolerate or not. But I think if you are starting out, it can be a really great start to start on like trying to lower the other types of foods until you are more carnivore in the beginning. So you
Mm.
give your system a break from all these inflammatory foods for at least 3 months, up to 6 months, depending on how your life looks, also what you're ready to do. But for a lot of people with autoimmune issues, especially Hashimoto's, we are pretty, how to say this, desperate. We're pretty desperate
Yeah.
to see change because it's dreadful, actually. It's so dreadful living like this. And so that's my recommendation. And I wouldn't recommend doing like I did, going cold turkey, since I got so many dumping issues when it came to like oxalate dumping and stuff like that, because I did eat a lot of salads. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
gonna lie. And I did eat a lot of spinach, and I did those spinach smoothies thinking I was so healthy.
Right? Oh my gosh. All
Yeah.
marketing.
Yeah. And I think every wellness girly has gone down that road sometime, but
Mm-hmm.
then realizing, oh, I feel like. And
Yeah.
another thing a lot of people don't know with raw salad is that it actually is one of the most common things when it comes to food poisoning. Because
Yep.
we think a lot about this when we eat like raw fish or raw meat, like, is it clean? Has it been out for too long? But no one questions the salad that has been probably sprayed with water that is not clean,
Yeah.
very close to earth, then packaged in a bag that's sealed and like has a lot of moist, and so it creates a lot of bacteria, obviously. And often people eat it raw, not even washing it, and so yeah, of course it can lead to food poisoning. But I didn't know this, and it's actually so common. It's the
Mm-hmm.
most Spinach is the most common food for food poisoning, and not
It's
a lot of people know that. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and it's so funny because the war on raw milk, right? Everyone's
Yes.
talking about like E. coli, listeria, da, da, da. So there in the U.S. right now has been a listeria outbreak and a few deaths. Really sad. Even a few like women have lost their pregnancies. Um,
Mm,
but the food, so I think 57%, like over half of it was from the prepped like pasta salads at grocery stores, like the prepped
yeah.
section of cold food. And then a lot of it would be like raw carrots, raw lettuce, raw
Yes.
produce. And I'm like, you guys, okay, whenever I look at these lists, what I don't see is steak tartare. What I don't see is, and I honestly don't even see sushi, but because I think when you go to a sushi restaurant, the
Yes.
standards are so high because they know it's a risk, right? So they're actually treating
Yeah.
things with care and they're like
Yeah.
taking better care of it and being more cautious.
Hmm.
And I don't see it with raw dairy, these foods that everyone's like, especially dairy, really,
Hyping. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
like demonizing. But when it
Yeah.
comes to the actual outbreaks, statistically, it is
Hmm.
starkly more plant-based foods, and even like the
Yes.
prepped refrigerated like grab and go salads, grab and go sandwiches.
Mm.
Those are the
Mm.
things that are, because you're not going to wash a prepped salad, right? You're trusting that
Yeah.
they're cleaning it. But those are the
Yeah.
things that are actually causing the outbreaks far greater than raw milk or
Yes.
anything like that.
Yes. And nobody is talking about how grains often contain things like traces of mold,
Mm-hmm.
how coffee contains like mold, everything like
Yeah.
this. And so, yeah, I think a lot of animal products just get a bad rap overall, and God only knows why they do that.
Yeah. To keep us sick.
Agenda.
Yep, it's always
Yeah,
an
yeah,
agenda. Nothing's on
yeah.
accident. Oh my gosh. Well,
No.
I could pick your brain forever, Elin. I love talking to you. I feel like in the past couple days we've
Same.
spent like 3 hours chatting, and
Yes.
I feel like I have a million things I could ask you, but I don't want to take up too much of your time. So before we go, I always love to ask the experts, what is your
Hmm.
current health and wellness goal?
Ooh. For me, I think it's just really double down on building muscle. I really would like to become like not bodybuilder, but I really want to double down on it and
Yeah,
really see that muscle tone coming through.
right.
But I also think I want to work more on the emotional side of this journey
Mm,
because I think it's a lifelong journey. I don't think it ever really ends, and I don't want it to end. I always want to evolve and develop like new skills and see life in a broader view.
mm-hmm.
And so I'm just excited, like honestly. And having been in such a dark place before, and being where I am today, I'm so excited for what's going to come. And I just see so much light going forward into the future, and really how podcasts like yours and like mine can bring so much life and happiness, and well, stopping like family curses even like
Yeah.
and so the generational like trauma and disease, I would just love to see that resolved. And I do see that a lot in my community. So I guess I just want to grow that and spread the awareness and spread the light to the people.
I love that. Well, you are such a bright light in the community, and I can't wait for more people to find you. I feel
Thank
like you're a
you.
hidden gem. And so I'm excited for more people who are struggling with this just to discover what you're doing and to connect with you. I think it's really going to be transformational for them. So please plug yourself. Where can people find you, connect with you, or even join your program?
Yeah, and so reach out to me on Instagram. You can also follow me if you like. I post a lot of free information and tips on what you can do to improve your thyroid health, and especially with Hashimoto's, because as we said, that's a little bit different since it's autoimmune. But on Instagram, you can search for Elin, like it says here. uh, and then, how do you say this when it's a mark that goes like
Oh, an
that?
underscore?
Yeah, an underscore, thyroid underscore reset. And
Perfect.
so just DM me and I will send you a link to the community. Otherwise, I also have it in my bio if you really are struggling and really wants to start your healing journey, and you are so much worth it, I think, and I'm looking forward to see you and to see your transformations. Yeah.
Amazing. Love that so much. I'll make sure to link the community in the show notes too. So if you're listening and you're just like, wait, I want to look at this
Thank you.
now,
Yeah.
check it out for sure. And if you love this episode, please make sure to give us a 5-star review, share the episode to your story, tag Elin and myself so we can spread the
Yeah,
word on how you can heal naturally. Elin, thank you so
exactly.
much for joining today.
Thank you so much. It has been so great talking to
Thank
you.
you. Likewise. Well, you guys will chat soon. As always, have a wonderful rest of your day.